All rise. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. The United States District Court for the Western District of North Carolina is now sitting for ceremonial purpose. The Honorable Graham C. Mullen, Senior Judge of the United States District Court, and Honorable Casey M. Bison, Judge Mecklenburg County Superior Court, preside. All persons having business before this honorable court are admonished to draw near, and you shall be heard. God save these United States and this honorable court. Please be seated and come to order.
Afternoon. Today, we gather together in a joint ceremonial meeting of the federal and state court to recognize the extraordinary life and service of one of our number, Max Justice. This memorial service is a time-honored tradition of the Mecklenburg County Bar, where the brothers and sisters of the bar pay homage to the life and times of one of their profession, of one who has shared this unique discipline that binds us together. Today, we recognize that life and those achievements as a matter of public record and for the sake of our historic and corporate memory. We welcome those of you who are in attendance here in the Jonas Courthouse wing. This is only the fourth time we've been privileged to hold a memorial service in federal court, and it is a distinct honor for us. We also have folks attending virtually. Welcome to you. We would ask you to mute yourselves for the duration of the service unless you're speaking. I'm not sure whether we have appropriate contact for that, but in any event, Judge Visor.
Thank you, Judge Mullen. In keeping with tradition, I will now recognize the Honorable Hugh Lewis, who's a member of our Memorials Committee, in order that the presentation shall be made. Judge Lewis.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I pull my mask down?
Certainly may.
This time, I would like to recognize the president of the Mecklenburg County Bar, Heath Gilbert, if you wish to come and make your statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Heath Gilbert. I'm the past president of the Mecklenburg County Bar. We welcome friends, family, and colleagues of Mr. Max Justice, to whom we offer our sincere condolences. Turn the meeting over to Judge Lewis now.
To our bar president, Mr. Gilbert, as well as to Shelby Benson, who is sitting beside him, I wish to express our committee's greatest appreciation for your support of our efforts to ensure that each and every member of our bar of Mecklenburg County is recognized with a memorial. Without their support and the bar's financial support, we could not make this possible. Over the past 7 or so decades, our bar has convened memorial sessions of court for our deceased members. This gives us an opportunity to remember and celebrate their lives and enjoy some of the stories that lawyers always like to tell about each other. As far as we can determine, we are probably the only local bar that holds these types of sessions. We are proud of this tradition and the role these sessions play in preserving the history of our bar. And we truly appreciate the federal court's agreement to help us out in these times of pandemic. Thank you. Today, Hank Hankins will present a resolution honoring Max Justice. That resolution will be presented to the court, and then the file resolution will be included in the minutes of this court and maintained with all the preceding resolutions in a bound volume in the clerk's court's office in the Mecklenburg County Courthouse. We also publish these resolutions on the bar website, and if any of you have a few minutes of time in between client meetings or so forth, I would suggest that you go read some of them. They go all the way back before many of us were even born. And it's interesting to hear about those that came before us. The family will also be provided copies of this resolution so that they may keep it as part of their mementos of their loved one. At this time, I'll call Hank Hankins to come forward. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Lewis. May it please the court, I am Hank Hankins of the Mecklenburg County Bar and the law firm of Parker Poe, Adams and Bernstein. It was my privilege to practice law with Max Justice for 45 years. On behalf of the Mecklenburg County Bar, I request permission to present this resolution to honor the life of Max Edward Justice of the Mecklenburg County Bar, who passed from us in the year 2020. May I proceed, Your Honors?
You may, sir.
Thank you. First, I would like to recognize the members of the Mr. Justice's family with us today. His wife, Karen, his son, Jamie, and his wife, Robin, his daughter, Kate Luckadoo, and her husband, Cliff, his grandchildren, Parker and Brady Justice, and Jackson and Grace Luckadoo. Mr. Justice was devoted to his family and would appreciate their presence in the courtroom here today. Max Justice was born in Hendersonville, North Carolina in 1945 and grew to manhood there. From an early age, he learned the value of hard work, helping his family in various pursuits, including growing and harvesting apples on the family's farm. As a result of his grandfather's work in law enforcement, Max came to know judges and court officials. His commitment to the law began there. In high school, Max became a dedicated student. He subscribed to Newsweek and read it cover to cover every week. In his pursuit of knowledge, he read his family's set of encyclopedias from A to Z. After high school, Max went to Chapel Hill and graduated from the University of North Carolina in 1967 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science. He earned the money to fund his education in the summer months by selling dictionaries door to door in the Deep South at the height of the Civil Rights Movement. After graduation from UNC, Max went to law school at Wake Forest University, where he was a distinguished student, serving as associate editor of the Wake Forest Law Review. He remained a loyal alumnus of the law school and in later years was president of the Alumni Association and a member of the Law Board of Visitors. Upon graduation from law school in 1970, he joined the Charlotte law firm then known as Greer, Parker, Poe, Thompson, Bernstein, Gage, and Preston, now Parker, Poe, Adams, and Bernstein, where he remained for his entire career. When I joined Parker Poe fresh from law school, Max had been Bill Poe's associate for several years. I followed in his footsteps. In those days, we had one office, 16 lawyers, and a general combination of personal practices. As a new lawyer, I looked to Max for guidance regarding the nuts and bolts of practicing law. He was an excellent teacher, and for decades thereafter, he continued to be a mentor to many young Parker Poe attorneys who had the benefit of exposure to him. After he passed away, one of his colleagues commented, and I quote, "I could have worked with Max for another 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, and he'd still be making me a better lawyer." In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the practice of law became much more specialized and complex. Government regulations produced a need for expertise that had not been taught in law school to those then in practice. Max recognized this need and immersed himself in the world of employment law and environmental law. He became our firm's go-to guy in both areas. Ultimately, he concentrated on environmental law and was recognized by his peers as a super lawyer, a best lawyer in America, and a North Carolina legal elite member. By the late 1980s, the firm had grown substantially, and we established substantive departments. Max became the regulatory and administrative law department head. In that role, he was completely reliable in managing the production and performance of his department. Max also developed a stable of substantial business clients, which produced a steady stream of work for the firm. The key to that development was his commitment to the unrelenting pursuit of the client's interest. He made the duty to serve his clients the cornerstone of his life as a lawyer, and his example will be a model for Parker Poe lawyers into the far distant future. During the 1990s, our firm looked south. For the expansion of our footprint into South Carolina, Max was our point person. He had significant relationships with clients in South Carolina, and he had the ability to identify lawyers who would be appropriate additions to the firm and its culture of service and commitment. In that process, the firm went to Spartanburg, Columbia, Charleston, and Greenville. Max's role in making those moves successful was significant. During my time as Parker Poe's managing partner, I sought Max's input because I valued his judgment and insight. He was a constant observer of developments in the legal profession, the business community, politics, and current affairs. He read a host of periodicals on a regular basis. He passed on to me the articles and ideas which he thought would benefit our efforts or be of interest to me. In later years, I received emails from him filled with commentary on current events. In short, he was a student of his time, a voracious reader, and a critical observer of the world around him. I could go on, but it is not possible in the time allotted to review all of the contributions of Max to his clients, the community, Parker Poe, and the practice of law. It is sufficient to say that Max Justice was a figure larger than life, whose contributions over a long and powerful career will live on in the memories of Parker Poe, his friends, clients, colleagues, and family. He will continue to personify the principles and professionalism of the practice of law at its very best. So, Your Honor, with the deepest admiration, respect, and affection, we, the undersigned, move that, number one, the court adjourned this day in memory of and in honor of Max Edward Justice. Number two, this resolution and memorial be received by the court and inscribed in its minutes. And number three, copies of this resolution and memorial be made available to the members of the family of Max Edward Justice. Respectfully submitted this 24th day of September, 2021. Thank you. Thank you.
Your motion would be granted here.
As is here.
Are there any?
With permission, Judge Mullen, the court will now ask that anyone who would like to share any memories or remarks in memory of Max Justice to step forward now.
You may. We should. We're supposed to have a
Thank you.
microphone portable somewhere.
I appreciate it, Your Honors.
All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to try to do two things this afternoon. One is easy, one's kind of difficult. The easy one is to thank all of you for coming. Whether you're virtually or in person, it really means a lot to us that you've come to celebrate the life of Max and what he meant to our firm. The second one's really kind of hard, which is to figure out how to talk about celebrating the life of Max and what he meant to our law firm, but I'm gonna try to give it a shot. Because not long after Max's passing, I heard a toast. And the toast went like this. It said, "Here's to the family that we're born with and the family that we meet along the way." And I didn't realize 32 years ago when I walked onto the 27th floor of the Charlotte Plaza, and actually I didn't meet Max. He wasn't there that day. He was always on the road, but to work with Max for the first time and understand who he is, I didn't realize how true that statement was for Max, how important he would become to me, how much family he would become to me, and how he would guide me through life. I didn't realize when I looked at that stack, and it was a big stack of papers. My office was clean for the only time it was ever been clean, and there's a big stack of papers, and it had a little sticker on it, and it said, "See me." And I think what he really meant was follow me and do the things that I do, and I'll become part of your family, and you'll become part of mine. And I know he meant that much to all of you in this courtroom. He really did. And so you would think it would be really easy to think of the thoughts and figure out what Max meant to all of us. Because it'd be easy to think of the obvious things. It'd be easy, and hopefully some of you will do this, to think about the stories and his jokes and the times you just catch him in the hallway. For me, I can think about many of the times, not all of them, but many of the times when he sat in my office or I sat in his, and he gave me guidance and advice on how to be a better lawyer or how to be a better father or how to be a better person. Although I'll guarantee you it was never in that context. It was always about stuff, and you would later realize, oh, wait, he was telling me one of those things, right? So we're all going to cherish those memories. But I'm actually thinking of something a little less obvious. Right? And I thought of it this way because this is actually the first of 3 memorial services that I'm going to attend in 7 days. Today is Max, obviously. Tomorrow is our dear, dear friend, Elizabeth Dunlap. And then a week from today is the memorial service for my own father. And it's kind of odd because Max and my father passed away. I consider Max my work father. Within a couple months of each other, and here we are, a year and a half later, having memorial services that are 7 days apart. At first, I thought that was a little bit coincidental, but now I think it was the karma wheel. I think it was the karma wheel bonking me on the head and saying, hey, dude, you need to slow down and think more seriously about the legacies that we leave behind and how they live on. Because most of us aren't going to have a building or a statue. I'm not going to have a park bench named after us. It's just not going to happen, right? So how do we live on? We live on in the words and the deeds and the impressions and the thoughts and the lessons that we leave behind. That's what happens. And nowhere is that more true than with Max. Because the lessons that he taught us, the lessons that are really important, just exist naturally around us because he walked among us. I mean, that's what happened. And so if we stop and we think and we look, we're going to see Max everywhere. Right? So when you're sitting in your office or you're sitting in a room and you're describing to somebody else actually is describing you a problem, or maybe they've made a mistake, and you listen carefully and kindly, and you listen with encouragement, and you don't judge, you got that from Max, guarantee it. And when there's a storm all around you, now actually, if I were being accurate, Max would call it a certain kind of storm, but I don't want to be held in contempt before this thing is over, right? So let's just say it was a work storm, and things are going all around you, and you listen calmly, and you listen thoughtfully, and you impose that calm on others around you, and you just get the work done, you got that from Max. And when you walk down the hallway, breath. When you walk down the hallway and you care about somebody enough to pull in and you talk to them and you ask them about their grandchildren or their children because you remember, and you, especially if you ask about their dog, you got that from Max. That's where you got it from. And when you're presented with a client problem that requires you to stay up all night long and find some weird solution that will only work because you stayed up all night long, and you find a solution and you convey it thoughtfully and creatively, well, you got that from Max. And if you're in that storm and stuff's flying all around you and you can't quite get to the calmest yet and you find yourself cursing and you use words that are unique and inspiring and in combinations that you never knew could be put together, well, you probably got that from Max too. I'm just guaranteeing. And last thing, that's I can think of, if you are mentoring somebody and you're not just telling them how to go find the law library or how to write a letter, because Max didn't do that. He'd let you write your own letters and he let you find your own way. But if you're guiding that person on how to be a better lawyer and how to make your way in this profession that we've all chosen and make a difference, well, you got that from Max. I guarantee you got that one from Max. Because the truth is that Max made us all better at what we do, and he makes us better at who we are because he walked among us. So when you stop and you look and you listen, you think about it, you can think of the stories, you can think of everything else. But the real stuff is the things you see because Max was with us. Right? And I'd like to stop now because otherwise I'm going to forget. I always say that. But I want to talk to the family just 15 seconds. That your husband, your brother-in-law, your father, your grandfather, he was an extraordinary man who had a profound impact on those around us. And I thank you for sharing it with us. It's a gift. Now, I have one more thing that, because it occurred to me, I was preparing for my father's service and I ran across this saying. I think it was a line of scripture. I don't know that for a fact, but I wrote it down so I won't forget what it says. And it ends this way. He says, well, it says, whatever you have learned or received or hear from me or seen in me, put it into practice. Say it again. Whatever you have learned or received or hear from me or seen in me, you put it into practice. And I think that's what Max would ask us to do. I think Max would just say, like, just try to be like me. And if we can be like him, I don't think we can actually, but if you can, that'd be pretty cool. Last thing. I still miss him every day. I know we all do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Are there any other folks who would like to say anything? Shall we proceed to adjournment?
Sure.
All right, before adjourning, I'd like to inform everyone that there will be a reception on the balcony at the 6th floor. We got CSOs to show the way down there. All right. On behalf of the judges in the Western District of North Carolina, this court orders that the comments presented at this hour be spread upon the minutes of this federal court and filed with the clerk of court with copies presented to the family of our departed brother at the bar. Your motion is granted, sir. Judge Feisner.
On behalf of the Superior Court of Mecklenburg County, I will now order that the comments presented at this hour be presented or be spread upon the minutes of the orders of this court and filed with copies presented to the family of our departed brother at the bar. Furthermore, the court directs that this service be adjourned out of respect for our brother, Max E. Justice. Fare thee well, colleague. Godspeed.
I will ask the Marshal Service to adjourn this memorial session of the Western District of North Carolina and to do so in memory of and out of respect for Max Justice. Fare thee well, colleague, and Godspeed. Sir.
All rise. This memorial session, United States District Court of the Western District of North Carolina is adjourned in memory of and out of respect for Max Justice.